Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1787 BN. Today's date is February 10th, 2019, and the title of the episode is Confirmation Countdown Begins, T-minus Optics Are Important. Now, before we get started, I want to talk about all the threats that we are seeing today in America, especially with the new caravan amassing in Central America headed up to the border. Remember, your safety is the number one concern. One of the best things you can invest in for your home protection is a Patriot flashlight kit. It's called the Night Protector. The Night Protector lights up the darkest of nights with its powerful 1200 lumens that can be seen miles away. Say goodbye to all those batteries. This has a rechargeable lithium battery that comes with it. To get the Night Protector, go to patriotkit.com. Use code X20 and get 20% off the Night Protector. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they are panicking. I'm talking about those individuals that we all want to see arrested for treason, for crimes. We're seeing Brennan, Schiff, Clinton out there now speaking up about what Trump is doing. They are in a deep panic. Remember, every time you hear these people, think mirror. They're really talking about themselves. They're really not talking about Trump. They're talking about all the crimes and everything that they did, and they're projecting it out. So when you think and you hear about all of this, think the opposite. Now, Q has dropped some more bread, and we'll be getting into that in just a minute. But let's talk about what is going on with Michael Cohen. Something very interesting happened. A federal judge in New York ordered the partial release of materials related to the FBI raid on properties belonging to Michael Cohen. Now, this is from U.S. District Judge William Pauley III, partially granted a request by numerous media organizations to release search warrants and other materials justifying the raid on Cohen's home, hotel room, and office last year. The judge ruled that it is in the public interest for the files to be released, with appropriate redactions to protect ongoing investigations and FBI methods and procedures. Now, this is going to be very interesting, because what would allow Mueller to raid the lawyer of Trump? Never heard of this before. And once this stuff starts coming out, it's going to become very, very interesting. Now, Trump decided to troll Elizabeth Warren. We know that she formally announced her 2020 presidential bid. Many other people have announced their 2020 presidential bid, and they believe that they're all safe if they do this. And the question is, why do they think they're going to be safe? Well, they're going to say, hey, listen, we're running for the presidency, and anything that Trump says against them, they're going to say he's attacking them because they're running to be president. But will this protect them? No. Trump tweeted out the following. Today, Elizabeth Warren, sometimes referred to by me as Pocahontas, joined the race for president. Will she run as our first Native American presidential candidate, or has she decided that after 32 years, this is not playing so well anymore? See you on the campaign trail, Liz. And Elizabeth Warren, she's already been exposed as a fraud by the Native Americans she impersonated and disrespected to advance her professional career. And people are now calling her out on this, and people are starting to realize, yeah, she's a phony. We see information is being leaked out a little bit at a time, and it's being leaked out to Sarah Carter, John Solomon. This is all being done on purpose. This is to awake the American people, to show how corrupt these individuals are. Now, the new chairman of the House Intel Committee, Representative Adam Schiff, had an undisclosed meeting with Fusion GPS co-founder Glenn Simpson last July at a security conference in Aspen. In other words, Congressman Adam Schiff was colluding with Russia dossier Hillary Clinton waterboy Glenn Simpson at the height of the Russiagate cover-up. John Solomon reported that there are photographs of Adam Schiff in sport coat and open-neck dress shirt, and Glenn Simpson wearing casual attire. John Solomon reports, in the summer of 2018, Mr. Simpson attended a media-sponsored social event where he exchanged small talk with Representative Schiff, and many other people who were in attendance. Fusion GPS said in a statement to me, the conversation between the two really didn't cover that much, and there's been no subsequent contact between Simpson and Schiff. Now, under House committee rules, there's nothing illegal about Schiff's meeting with Glenn Simpson. However, Schiff hit Devin Nunes with an ethics investigation last year for much less. Schiff hit Nunes with an 8-month-long investigation for meetings with a source outside of the committee, calling it a dead-of-night excursion because the committee was not informed. So Mr. Solomon taunted Schiff and tweeted, "Did Adam Schiff's attack on Devin Nunes just boomerang?" Remember, Trump and the Patriots, they have it all. They know it all. The info on these traitors are being leaked out to trap them in their own lies. Think mirror. Now, Trump, he is continually tweeting out and letting the public know that there was no Russian collusion whatsoever. He's doing this in preparation for the Mueller collusion report. Because as he keeps saying this and he continually informs the American people that there's nothing, and Mueller comes out and the report says nothing, and he went in all different directions and still found nothing, well, it's going to show the president was right, that he was the one who continually said there is nothing wrong here. It's going to show the deep state and all these others, they hired this person for what reason? And it's all going to backfire on them. Trump tweeted out the following: the mainstream media has refused to cover the fact that the head of the very important Senate Intelligence Committee, after 2 years of intensive study and access to intelligence that only they could get, just stated that they have found no collusion between Trump and Russia. It is all a giant and illegal hoax, developed long before the election itself, but used as an excuse by the Democrats as to why crooked Hillary Clinton lost the election. Someday the fake news media will turn honest and report that Donald Trump was actually a great candidate. Not only did Senator Burr's committee find no collusion by the Trump campaign in Russia, it's important because they interviewed 200 witnesses and 300,000 pages of documents, and the committee has direct access to intelligence information that's classified. Senator Richard Burr, the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, just announced that after almost 2 years, more than 200 interviews, and thousands of documents, they have found no collusion between Trump and Russia. Is anybody really surprised by this? And he's continually putting this out for a specific reason. It's little breadcrumbs, little carpet bombs that he's releasing, educating the American public, waking them up slowly. Now, the media leaked Trump's work schedule. They were trying to make it seem like he's not doing that much. He's a lazy president. But truthfully, the opposite is occurring right now. It's showing that Trump works really hard, and he's gotten a lot done within only 2 years. Trump tweeted out the following: the media was able to get my work schedule, something very easy to do, but it should have been reported as a positive, not a negative. When the term executive time is used, I am generally working, not relaxing. In fact, I probably work more hours than almost any president. The fact is, when I took over as president, our country was a mess. Depleted military, endless wars, a potential war with North Korea, VA, high taxes, and too many regulations, border immigration and healthcare problems, and much more. I had no choice but to work very long hours. And you can see by how much he's accomplished that this whole thing is backfiring on them. Now, Trump is accusing Democratic leaders of stymieing the efforts of their congressional negotiators to reach a budget deal and avert another government shutdown. He tweeted out the following: I don't think the Dems on the border committee are being allowed by their leaders to make a deal. They are offering very little money for the desperately needed border wall, and now, out of the blue, want a cap on convicted violent felons to be held in detention. And he continued, it was a very bad week for the Democrats with great economic numbers. The Virginia disaster and the State of the Union address, now, with the terrible offerings being made by them to the border committee, I actually believe they want a shutdown. They want a new subject. So what's going on here? Well, Tom Homan, former ICE director, explains. They are pushing to weaken immigration and custom enforcement, proposing drastic limitations on detention beds and weakening the agency's effectiveness to hold criminal illegal immigrants. Their proposal will result in tens of thousands of criminal aliens and other illegal aliens that are currently detained pending a court hearing or removal to be released into the communities. He said by doing this, the entire country will become a sanctuary. It will result in a rush to the border because incoming aliens will know there is no consequence for their actions. As I've said all year, the Dems may not abolish ICE, but they will cripple them and make them ineffective by severely harming their operational budget. They don't want a deal. They're afraid of this wall. They don't want the wall built. But remember, Trump specifically took the government, took it out of the shutdown, allowed it to be open until the 15th of February, and put the spotlight on Congress. Now everyone is looking at them, not looking at Trump, because they're the ones who are discussing this. But you can see panic is setting in. Hillary Clinton has come out and she has attacked Trump's immigration policies. She was doing an interview on Showtime's The Circus, and she said the following: I just don't think you should call national emergencies unless there truly is a national emergency. There's no national emergency at the border. Hillary went on to say that Trump is frustrated because he can't get his border wall legislation passed through Congress. Hillary Clinton right now is panicking. She knows that, first of all, he doesn't have to get it passed through Congress. Second of all, that if he declares a national emergency, she knows the wall will be built. That's why she's out there saying there's no national emergency. She's playing it down. She's nervous. She knows the wall will be built no matter what. So what does this mean for her, the deep state, and the rest? Well, we know they're in charge of the drug running that's coming across the border. They set this up. This funds their covert operations. It lines their pockets. We also know gun running will come to an end. We also know that human trafficking will come to an end. The illegals that are in the country, that are being brought into the country, they will not be able to blend this country like they're trying to blend Europe so we can become a third world nation. And they won't get the illegal vote count. It will shut everything down for them. Once it's all shut down, they are exposed. That's why they're panicking. Brennan is panicking. Schiff is panicking. Clinton is panicking. This is why they're out there telling everyone this is not a big deal. This shouldn't be happening. There's no emergencies. Think mirror. Think what they're doing right now. They are at the losing end of all this because they know the wall will be built. We see Trump is out there tweeting about North Korea, and we have a date for the second summit, which is February 27th and 28th. They're going to be meeting in Vietnam, and Trump tweeted out the following: My representatives have just left North Korea after a very productive meeting and an agreed upon time and date for the second summit with Kim Jong-un. It will take place in Hanoi, Vietnam on February 27th and 28th. I look forward to seeing Chairman Kim and advancing the cause of peace. North Korea, under the leadership of Kim Jong-un, will become a great economic powerhouse. He may surprise some, but he won't surprise me because I have gotten to know him and fully understand how capable he is. North Korea will become a different kind of rocket, an economic one. Remember, he used to call him Rocket Man. He used to make fun of him. And now, they're best buddies. Now, instead of war, instead of nuclear weapons, we're talking about the economy, how North Korea is going to be prosperous, how North Korea will work with the United States, how there will be peace. All of this is being done for the new world, the new economy. An economy, a world without the central bank, a world without the deep state. So Trump has leverage over Kim now. And you can see that he's using it. Trump is now out there, and he went eye to eye with the U.S. generals, and he has told them the troops are coming home, period. They were hoping by pushing the idea that the Islamic State was going to come back, that everything was going to go south if we do this, with the mainstream media out there pushing him. They thought he was going to fold. They thought he was going to backtrack on this withdrawal. Remember, Trump, the Patriots, they are removing the deep state, the central bank, piece by piece. By withdrawing the troops from Syria, then withdrawing the troops from Iraq and Lebanon and Libya, their whole entire push to control the Middle East and control the oil, control the petrodollar in this fashion comes to an end. The same thing is happening out in Venezuela. Let's get into some of Q's posts here. This is post 2676. And Q says the following: optics are important. Now, when Q goes dark and you hear the mainstream media continue with the propaganda, many people take this as Trump is losing the war and Q decided to go into hiding. No, that's not what's happening. They're letting the mainstream media produce and use their propaganda to destroy themselves. Remember, we're watching a show. We're watching a production. Think about what has happened since Q has gone dark and Trump just sits back. They went ahead and they created this movie production where they raided Roger Stone's house, making it seem that Trump's people are all being arrested. Indictments are coming against Trump and his family. This is, by the way, part of the plan. They need this to happen. They want the mainstream media. They want all of this to happen. Optics are important. This is a show. It's about controlling the narrative. Trump, Q, they want the public to question what is going on. Ask the questions and then look for the real answers. Remember, the deep state knows Trump is a threat to their corrupt political establishment. Q went on to say, stealth bombers silent. Reread Mueller, RE designed to drops. Let's go to post 2387. Remember, Mueller designed to take in evidence needed to expose Deep State, Department of Justice, block R.E. Mueller evidence, ongoing investigation. Mueller designed to limit POTUS ability to maneuver. Mueller designed to stall for time. Mueller designed to safeguard, and so on. So Mueller was their firewall. So what does the Mueller investigation allow? It allows the anti-Trump narrative. It blocks Trump and his administration from bringing people to justice, stalls for time, divides the people. But this is about to end. Q went on to say, probe conclusion coming. Brackets -30. So the probe is going to conclude in 30 days. Coincidence? Conclusion occurring as new Attorney General installed. So Q is telling us that Mueller's probe is going to be concluded within 30 days. Think about this. How would it be perceived by the public if Trump arrested all those who opposed him while the investigation was going on? It would look like Trump is retaliating and he would look guilty. This is why it had to play out the way it's playing out. Optics are important. The arrest couldn't have happened. It would have backfired, and the mainstream media, the deep state, they would have taken advantage of this move. This is why he can't fire Mueller. This is why he can't fire Rosenstein. This is why he's letting it all play out. They're controlling all of this, and they're pushing Mueller in the direction they want. Remember, he can declass really at any time. He's using this over Mueller. Remember, Mueller, well, he's trying to protect himself. He's trying to save himself throughout this. And I believe that Trump is using the declass as leverage right now. Q went on to say, what is the purpose of Whitaker? Well, he's the stealth acting attorney general. He can do whatever he wants. Reed drops Scaramucci model. Purpose? Well, Whitaker can remove certain people. Rod Rosenstein? Maybe. Who did Scaramucci remove? Effective, optics important. Scaramucci, in a short period of time, we went over this before, removed a couple of people. And guess what? Trump brings these people in, has them as temps for a specific reason, to allow them to remove certain people. What occurs post-installed blockade removal? D-class will begin after Mueller report is released. Rod Rosenstein, complete removal. Stealth Whitaker will probably take him out. OIG release of findings. How are they prepared to combat the narrative equals vital brackets? House Intel launch of more fake investigations, an attempt to retain false narrative and claim political attacks if investigation prosecuted themselves. Think about what happened with the House. Everything, and Q told us this, the investigations moved from Mueller over to the House. This was done to protect themselves. It was an insurance policy. They moved the investigations to the House to protect everything that they've done in the past. Because if Trump goes after them, points the finger at them, they'll just say it's political attacks because they're investigating right now. That's why he's doing it. They think they're protected. They're not. SDNY-AG. So this is the Attorney General in New York. They are trying as hard as possible to find anything on Trump. Attempts to retain blockade. Remember, Mueller's investigation, the report, is going to be released. The firewall will be gone. They're trying to create new blocks. It's not going to work. Attempts to prevent public release of the truth. Zero leaks, R.E. Huber. Zero. Now remember, they're keeping this contained. They don't want these people knowing anything. They're in the dark. They have no idea what's going on. Now, many of the Annans and the public, they think nothing's going on. Just because you don't have leaks doesn't mean that nothing is going on. And Q says, do not mistake public silence for inaction. This is not another 4-year election. So Sarah Carter came out with an article. Whitaker, I have not talked to the president about the special counsel's investigation. Now, Whitaker was testifying in front of the House. Nadler and many others were asking Whitaker many, many questions. Why do you think they were asking him so many questions? They're in the dark. They don't know what's going on. And of course, they were trying to use this to make it look like Trump was interfering with Whitaker. Remember, he's the acting attorney general. So acting attorney general Matthew Whitaker stood his ground as these Dems questioned him about his private conversations with Trump. Whitaker did not divulge his private conversation with Trump. He did not respond numerous times to multiple Democrats on one question regarding special counsel Robert Mueller's office. He emphatically stated that he has never discussed the subject with Trump. Whitaker and Chairman of the House Judiciary Committee Jerry Nadler wrangled in several dramatic heated exchanges. Nadler pressed Whitaker on his private conversations with Trump and other senior White House officials. Whitaker had already expressed at the onset of this hearing and earlier in the week that he would not divulge any private conversations with the president, as those conversations are protected by executive privilege. But it didn't stop the Dems. They were continually pushing over and over and over. And their voices grew louder. They weren't getting what they wanted. And you can see they are desperate. So in one question with Representative David Nicola Sicilian, he asked Whitaker about the CNN story alleging that Trump had lashed out at him several times when Cohen pleaded guilty to lying to Congress about the proposed Trump-Moscow project. This time, Whitaker answered and said the following. The president specifically tweeted that he did not lash out. Then Representative David Nicola Sicilian said, I'm asking you, Mr. Whitaker, did the president lash out at you? I'm not asking what he tweeted. I don't have a lot of confidence in the veracity of his tweets. I'm asking you. Whitaker said no, he did not. So basically, they were trying to push Whitaker around. It did not work. He stood his ground. They're in trouble. They don't know what's going on. They don't have their leaks anymore. They're panicking. Post 2677, and Annan said, welcome back. Q says, we never left. It's time to return publicly. Now, Q is always monitoring the boards. Q is watching everyone talk to each other. Just because Q is silent doesn't mean Q is gone. Doesn't mean things are not happening in the background. Post 2678. Q gave us an NBC article, and the article is about Q and that most of the accounts on Twitter are Russian bots. What they're trying to do here is say that Q does not have a following. The following is actually Russian bots, and there are no real people. Well, that's not going to work. So they're still pushing Russia, 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 as Q says. Fake news attacks continue. Ask yourself why. What happens when the news no longer reports facts? What happens when the news no longer reports truth? They're the enemy of the people. Controlled. Q. This is a complete dead end for the mainstream media, the deep state. Because as you can see, Twitter, YouTube, they try to remove subscribers. They try to remove people that are fake. And it continually shows that the people that are following Q, they are all completely real. Post 2679. Q put up a link to NASA. Now, this is the countdown clock and is one of the most watched timepieces in the world. On this page, you'll learn how the countdown operates and what milestones to watch for during our live launch coverage. Now, I do believe that Q put this up here on purpose because Q is starting the countdown. And Q wants you to understand the countdown and exactly what it means. So let's go over this a little bit in this article. Pauses in the countdown or holds are built into the countdown to allow the launch team to target a precise launch window and to provide a cushion of time for certain tasks and procedures without impacting the overall schedule. For the space shuttle countdown, built-in holds vary in length and always occur at the following times: T27 hours, T19 hours, T11 hours, T6 hours, 3 hours, 20 minutes, and 9 minutes. Q is telling us to expect this in the countdown. There will be holds. So in the countdown, which Q explains later in the post, he has countdown numbers, but just because we don't hit it on that day exactly doesn't mean the countdown is not happening. Certain things have to happen between the countdown. So Q is letting everyone know this. So the next post, 2680, Q put up 2 articles. First one, CNN. Acting Attorney General Whitaker reveals federal prosecutors still investigating GOP claims of the FBI misconduct, which means Whitaker is still looking into what the FBI did with FISA and everything else. That has not stopped. The second article is from Breitbart. William Barr in 2017, Department of Justice abdicated its responsibility by ignoring Clinton uranium deal in favor of Russian collusion. Barr ready to go with Clinton, the uranium one, and everything else. And I do believe Trump picked Barr because he knew his position with what happened with Clinton and the uranium one deal and everything else. So Q continues. Read between the lines. Blockade end. Good to go. Q. Now, this is very interesting because M2 Madness tweeted out, also known as M3 Methods, tweeted out the following. Took this post, 2680, and went down the line here. Read between the lines. So the first letter is R. Blockade end, that is B. Good to go, that is G. R, B, G. The blockade for the next Supreme Court has ended. They are good to go. Is Q confirming that RBG is out of the way, it's starting to look this way. Let's move on to post 2681. This is where Q gives us the countdown. This is all bold brackets, 30, 45, 60, 90. Blockade removal Scaramucci model. This is in brackets, all bold. Rod Rosenstein removal. Goodbye, number 2. Number 1, oversight of Mueller. So Rod Rosenstein is number 2 in charge of the Department of Justice and was number 1 in command of Mueller and the investigation before Whitaker took over. And it looks like goodbye, Rod Rosenstein. It looks like his time is coming. Then Q says dash or removal. And then dash 1 through 4. Now, these are all in brackets and bold. So Q has already gave us Orr and Rod Rosenstein. So who are the 4 people that are next? Well, if we go to post 2381, Q back then gave us the batter's box and gave us some names. Michael Steinbach, John Glackalone, Randy Coleman, Tricia Anderson, Kevin Kleinsmith, Tashina Guar, Sally Moyer. Gave us all these people. So does this mean that Whitaker is going to be removing or Rod Rosenstein and 4 more people, 1 to 4, and we are referring back to the batter's box? It's starting to look that way. So we know that Anthony Scaramucci got rid of people who could not be trusted. Q has hinted that Whitaker's temporal as Attorney General allowed him to do the same thing in the FBI and the Department of Justice. Let me continue with Q. Barr install. Senate Judiciary Panel approves William Barr nomination for Attorney General. Barr, Whitaker review Rod Rosenstein notes. Strong reservations to declass due to sources and methods, plus foreign classification, irreparable harm. An arrow pointing to OIG, review prior to executing the order. Barr, with Whitaker, pull declass review assignment from OIG, cite executive order from POTUS, does not require special oversight. Department of Justice, FBI, Ray, fully capable in reviewing and commenting. OP, integrity, sources and methods, etc. So it looks like Barr is going to be reviewing the declass, and Barr has the ability to say, yeah, it's fine, let's declass. Barr executes order to declass, provides members of House Committee long requested supplemental documentation in C setting, in a secure setting, scope memo plus classification as required by U.S. law. Whitaker is going to remain in the Department of Justice as a senior staff member. Barr is going to meet with Huber and OIG. The OIG report is going to come out. House D's threatened subpoena of Barr Whitaker, D-class, special counsel report, Huber, etc. So the House, they're going to threaten to subpoena these individuals over the D-class. House D's will use subpoena power to Acts 1, 2, 3, spill plus 30. So it looks like we're going to see certain things happen when they push this subpoena. And it looks like they're going to try to use this to stop the D-class from coming out. But will this work? No. And I believe this is why Q is saying Acts 1, 2, and 3, spill plus 30. Meeting with North Korea, an arrow pointing to denuclearization plan process, pointing to an arrow sanctions lift meets subject A, B, food for people aid. So it looks like North Korea is going to denuclearize. The sanctions that were placed on North Korea, they're going to be removed. People will get food. People will get aid. People will flourish now. UK-Australia narrative shift. RE in country spy campaign versus POTUS. Hops 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, 4 to target. It looks like they're going after the Five Eyes and they're going to reconfigure everything and redo everything and basically remove the deep state model and remove the probably the security clearance from all those operators. D Sky is falling, push to public scare to control projection, saying that the Democrats are going to say the sky is falling. They're going to use scare tactics. They're going to use projection to say that the sky is falling. Public is going to awaken. Narrative damage control. All the placeholders that Q put into place way back, they are now active. Wall discussion end. Public awareness of Ds. The Ds are now exposed. The deep state is now exposed of what they're trying to push. Red-green castle per original plan. It looks like the Army Corps of Engineers, they're going to be building the wall as originally planned. Dark to light. Gave us a link to the YouTube of Trump, the speech that he made that will get him elected, talking about draining the entire swamp. Now, in the last report, we talked about Rand Paul, where he was saying, listen, we need to go after those liars. We need to get all those people that lied in Congress. Well, they need to be arrested and we need to have hearings. I don't think this was a coincidence. I think this was all planned because we have Representative Getz out there. He introduced a bill. And this is Republican Florida Representative Matt Getz introduced a bill that former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, former FBI Director James Comey, and former National Security Director James Clapper probably won't like. It's called the Justice for All Act, and this will require equal punishment for those who have lied or lie to Congress, no matter who they are. And I love the name of the bill, Justice for All. So you can see they are pushing this. Remember, all these people that Mueller was arresting that were brought up on charges for lying, they're going to use this against them. Now let's talk about Trump's taxes, because this is coming back into the mainstream media. Now I do believe this was also part of the plan to hold back Trump's taxes on purpose, to make them think that there's something wrong with them, and have them push to release the taxes, to investigate Trump's business dealings. Why would they want them to do this? Because Trump will eventually release his taxes. They will show that there's nothing wrong. They will investigate his businesses. There'll be nothing wrong. This will then allow Trump and the Patriots to turn this around, just like the lying thing. Well, since you opened the door and you investigated all my businesses and you investigated the taxes and looked through them all, we're going to do the same with all of your business dealings. And guess what? Those people are corrupt. Those people have made hundreds of millions through treasonous acts or illegal acts. If we go back to Q's post about how do you remove sitting senators or House of Representatives, how to remove them, this is why. This is how he's going to drain the rest of the swamp. He's going to hit them with lying, and they're going to investigate their business dealings, their taxes. They have plans to remove all these people. Because remember, there's a subset group that they're going to arrest. Then you have the rest. And remember, the majority, they're corrupt. How do you get rid of them? Well, you use everything that they used on you. You turn it around because they open the door. And guess what? It can be used on them now. Now, when we look at the countdown, and Annan put up what he or she believes the countdown is. So the first one is brackets 30. This is minus 30 days to Mueller's report. Then brackets 45, minus 45 days to Huber's report. Brackets minus 60 days to Horowitz's report. Brackets minus 90 days to D-class. Now remember, Q has told us that there's going to be holds between these days. So just because we don't hit 30 days or 45 days, we might hit 38 days, we might hit 39 days, but it's going to happen. And Q is laying it all out, letting us know when it happens. And I believe when it happens, as soon as Mueller's report comes out, boom, the first alarm bell has rung. We're off to the races. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.